Hello and welcome. Well, the GBA to help the EC on electoral matters. Is it good news or is it bad news? Today's topic is also one of those ones that's going to probably be part 1 to about 16 of it. Yes, we're going to talk about increasing the caliber of people who go down to the grassroots to monitor our electoral processes. And then we're also looking at the EC's position to say, listen, we need to go with the voters register that we have. The nation is also divided into two. There's one half who think, no, we need a new one. There's another half who say, well, edit it and clean it up a little bit, but otherwise it's the same. How do we build credibility or confidence in the voters register that we have now? Number 2, and how do we increase the caliber of people who work at the polling station? So, somebody who come to Dumasa and, a high flyer, parks his Mercedes-Benz, gets out and come and stand by the polling station and just monitors what goes on there. So it's not easy to bribe him or ask him to add another 0 or take a 1 off. Now, that's the sort of level of confidence we need going into 2016, because at 2016, everything will be at the polling station. There will be no Supreme Court, there will be no second counting. All those things are not going to happen. Everything would happen at the polling station. And if indeed it's going to happen at the polling station, how do we get people with integrity and credibility to be at the polling station so that you and I build that confidence? Folks, my name is Nana Ansakwa. This is PM Express, and I am talking to Victor Adawudu, legal practitioner. Don't move. It's going to be exciting. Very much for staying. GBA members to help the EC. Benson Intupi, who is the current president of the GBA, has said, listen, the GBA members should avail themselves to the EC to be trained for electoral matters. It's very important. I mean, Nigeria tried it. It's worked for them. And, indeed, they are touting their glory all over the place. Should we emulate it? Considering that, everything is do and die, and 2016 seems to be quite do and die, just like every other election. Hello and welcome, Kojoga. I prefer Kojoga to Victor.
Yes, Kojoga. Yes, I also prefer.
Yeah, I prefer Kojoga to Victor.
I believe maybe... those days, everybody wanted a Christian name. My dad felt that.
Let me add one.
Yes, let me add one. Victory.
Take it to school.
He's wrong. Victor. So
take it to school. What Kojoga is just awesome.
Yeah.
Bruv, let's start with GBA members availing themselves to the EC. To help at the polling station level, because some of the things that came up was 27-0. Until date, we don't know what the person wanted to write. As to whether 270, whether it was 2,700, nobody knows what he wanted to write. 27-0. And to avoid all that, GBA president is saying that, look, you'd be a nice polling officer for Dumasa. You come there, park in your suit and tie. They will be scared to do anything wrong with you, just being there.
Yeah, definitely. Let me say good evening to our cherished viewers and a happy new year.
Happy New Year
to everybody. I believe that the call that was made by the president, I think it's a very thought-provoking one, a deep one. We've seen the example in Nigeria where we saw vice-chancellors, academics, and people of integrity and responsibility who were at the helm of affairs. And if all professionals, let's say the GBA takes the lead and other professional joins to make sure to see that this nation grows. It is not about anybody, but to supervise the election and make sure that the right thing is done. I think it's the right call that should be looked at. And in as much as within every profession, within every people, they are the same people who belong to the parties. People would say, oh, we know these people belong to this party. I think let me start this way. When Professor Jega came, I think the last word he left with us was that Ghana has been beating Nigeria when it comes to football all the time. Now, when it comes to democratical elections, they are sure they have beaten us. They are waiting for 2016 to see if we will beat them. And I think it was a challenge that he's thrown to us. And I believe that we would do something.
With the high stakes, the unclear Supreme Court rulings as to, what's overvoting, what's not overvoting, what's this, what's not that, or the presiding official should sign, shouldn't sign. Now, no verification, no vote is, sometimes you can verify something. I mean, we have all this cocktail in the pot, and we are moving into 2016. For the NPP, they have their favorite candidate who, because of age-wise, this is his last chance, and so whatever happens, he wants to get his opportunity to rule. I mean, how would the high-caliber, polling agents, would it stop? Because the cocktail coming in is just too much. I mean, because the polling, and it will be won at the polling station. So, I mean, how much would the persons of integrity stop? What confronts us?
No, a lot of things confront us. Let me start from this premises that electoral justice is a critical thing for everybody. Where there is a victor and there's a loser, everybody wants to see how transparent the process is. And admits that, yes, I won, yes, I lost. It was a good fight. I think that is the basis, that is the starting point for everybody who is a Ghanaian, who wishes this nation well, to see that the process is transparent. And for us, yes, it's a mix of things, challenges that we've had, especially from the Supreme Court, where personally I feel that there had been some opportunity for the Supreme Court to stamp its feet on some of the issues that they left hanging, especially when you look at the presiding officer who doesn't sign. It's not right. All of them said unanimously, but that cannot nullify the votes of the people when they have not done. But they left out not to pronounce any sanction that would go with such a person. Now, I believe that it is in view of some of this that the GBA is making that call, that let's get the people who are literate. And I believe the Supreme Court also made that proposal, I think Justice Atuguba, that we should up the caliber of people who we choose as presiding officers, we choose as polling assistants. Now, when we get such a caliber of people, I believe that even if they are biased or they belong to one side of the political divide, I think their integrity and objectivity is something they will not want to sacrifice for. Now, one of the examples may be borrowing from what's happened in Nigeria, as we were told and we were watching, was that, they had a national service, as we have here. It was a very new thing, and they asked the students to volunteer, students who were patriotic to serve the nation. Now, some conditions were added to some of the things that if you are involved in any electoral malpractices, you are not going to get your certificate. If you don't have your certificate, you will not have employment, especially in the public sector. So nobody was ready to put his working life on the line. Two, when they brought the universities and the polytechnics, they vetted their own people because they knew the caliber of people who were among them. That's not to say that they are not miscreants within that society. So if GBA is going to assist and I believe other professional bodies would also want to assist. We know each other. People who we know, their character. We know you can vouch for their integrity. People you know that, look, those are not people that you can trust with anything. So it should be a process that the same professional body should be able to vet the people who they want them to be the presiding officers to assist the EC in doing this. Now, I believe that even going on the other side, people know where everybody belongs to. I speak for NDC, but the mere fact that I speak for NDC, I'm a member of the NDC, does not mean that it should cloud my sense of judgment. It does not mean that I should see it that, look, when it is going wrong, I should let this nation go down just because I want the parochial interest for my party and others. Then where do we leave this nation for? Our children and grandchildren who would come? I don't think I want to sacrifice such a thing. So if people who belongs, everybody knows, and I'm a pulling agent, even for my party, I believe that things will be sanitized. Things will be done properly. The addition, writing, very legible. Because, until 28, we used to vote. But you see, when you go into the electoral laws, we were not doing it. It was whilst we were, doing some brainstorming, we realized that the seal that we were allowed, all parties were allowed to put a seal. It was from 2008 that we said, no, this is in the law, it allows us. So we made a proposal, and so yes, we could put a seal, and other parties also started the seal. These are things that innovative ways that we can think and make sure that the electoral register or the process is transparent. Everybody knows what it is. One of the other things I have been thinking about, it's also, which might be a little bit, every new idea has its own challenges until it is fine-tuned. If you look at, we have 10 regions.
Yeah.
Now, this issue of overvoting, ballot stuffing here and there, I believe one of the things that was done was the biometric register to cure that mischief, that the impersonation and others. But once in a while you could see things, it is not foolproof, things slip through, and whilst they slip through, we find some of this. There's no very clean electoral register or election. It's utopian. If somebody says that, is even in America, they still have minors and others on their registers. But there's an opportunity that whilst this slips through, when it is exhibited, the register is exhibited and others, these things can be, we know of, so that it filters out. And those are things that we need to take serious, because I believe that our attitude also as a nation, when we need to go for exhibition, check the register, I believe there's some cultural inhibitions. People who could say somebody is dead, his name is on the register, you have to go assist and say, look, I think this person's name should be crossed. But nobody is ready to go and say that.
Is it because of the process? You have to take a form, fill it out, but you need to prove that he was dead.
I think these are things that EC needs to sit down with the stakeholders. And if we sit down with the stakeholders, because the churches, our mosque, because I believe that even in the Presbyterian, before they even bury somebody, they document all those. Some even the traditional.
They call the register in the church.
And everything. So they know the number of people who are no more. Even the mosque. If we have all this education and everybody gets to know as to how we go about the process, even voting, somebody would say that, oh, it's church. Why are you bringing in politics? But whether we like it, really or nilly, look, we have accepted that constitutional democracy is the way forward. We have said that we are not going back. So anybody who even attempts a coup d'etat and anybody stands against him and even kills him, he's right. Because the Constitution gives him the power that resists such a person with all our might and force. You can resist him. So if we are not going back and it's going to be constitutional democracy, then we would have to be voting. We can stand aloof and say that it's about politics. I don't want to be there. It is dirty. If you say it's dirty, who goes in to clean it for you? Until we stand up and we make that decision, we can only be making noise. But people would definitely take decision for us.
Let me go back and then we come back to that. That's, how many lawyers are there? I mean, considering that there are, 26,000, now 29,000, polling stations. I mean, so where would the lawyers be? I mean, returning officers or collation officers or polling agents? I mean, where best would you fit to plug in to help?
I believe it depends on the discussions that we may have with the Electoral Commission. I don't know what the leadership of the bar, where they've gotten to so far, but I believe that they need to have an extensive and conclusive discussion with EC, where they can even maybe other professionals, because we need the presiding officers. We even need collation or counting agents, because from my experience, counting agents are very important, because by the time the voting process is done, it's late. The same polling agent who was at the polling station from morning till evening, some comes back as the counting agent and they are tired. And that's where people start to do things that are not right. Because when they are counting and even adding, they are tired. And these days we have some laptops that people can put in different applications that can give you different results. So you see some of these things manifest there. I believe that if we have some of these people at counting area and see that it will tally with the number of voters on the register, this should be one of the places, because that is very critical. Two, the polling agents, because they need to also verify, check that it's the right person who is coming to vote and the right things, the right rules are being obeyed. I believe if a lawyer stands there or goes there, and the third one, they can go as observers. Because if you are accredited as an observer, maybe with CODIO, with observer, if something is going wrong, I believe you have a right to draw the attention of the presiding officer and say, this is going wrong, this is not right. So it's a mix of factors that I believe that if all are put together. Now, one of the things that EC should also try to be looking at, if the way going forward, is that too often we have accused the permanent staff of EC, especially maybe the district officers who actually take over when it comes to election. They are at the helm of affairs. One of the things we should be also looking at is that, yes, it's their job. It is during the election. Should they be at the helm of affairs? Because when it comes to that, both parties accuses the district officer. Now, can we insulate the district officer from all this election, that they give the technical advice as to what has to be done, and we put somebody of higher integrity and others there, that everybody has trust in him and knows that, look, he is to pretend, and that's one of the things that was done in Nigeria.
I'm going to take a break here, because my next question to your statement was that if we leave the elections to the hands of the same people who managed it the first time, this country will be in chaos. I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, we tackle that question no more.
Thank you very much for staying. GBA members to help the EC. Laudable idea. Hopefully, other professionals will also avail themselves for this course. And I say so because if for any reason we leave our elections to those people who were left it to the other time, 27-0, and some of the amazing things they wrote. Presiding officer not signing, whether they forgot, whether they ran out of ink, whatever it is, if we dare leave it to them, I don't think we will have any Ghana left.
No, Nana, if we make a blanket statement like that, I believe that we will be unfair to some of them who actually also sacrificed. Some did a good job.
No, but those who did not sacrifice was enough to cause mayhem. And if we put them back in, and anybody dares write 27-0 in 2016, I mean that's hell break loose.
Yes, Nana, I believe that if all of us will be truthful to ourselves, if we'll be honest and frank to ourselves, even with the political parties, I think some of the things that happen will not happen. I was also in the thick of affairs of things that happen. You find some places when it is 1,100 and it's 1,650. Whilst they finish, you see the results, they make it 11,650. It's written 120, then another 0 is added. So when you are tallying, you see that the figure does not tally with the word. Those are things that happen. And I believe that those are infiltration by some overzealous party activists on both sides. It happens everywhere on both sides. It is that if we educate our people that, look, this is what we need to do. This is how we need to go. I'll give you a very, this is a real one, I'm telling you. It happened. I won't mention the regional constituency or anything. They went, after the election, the counting, then both sides, they decided that, okay, you know what, let's add 200 to each other. So one party, the guy allowed, they added the 200. When it came to his turn, they said, no, we won't allow. All he did was to go back and report to his constituency executives. They said they won't agree. But these are things that sometimes it has not even come to the public domain. This was a tacit agreement between all of them.
Let's add 200.
Let's add to this and let's add to this. And it was a tacit agreement. Those are things that we find out. It is education. We need to educate the people that, look, if we do this, it might affect all of us. At the end of the day, that the sovereign will of the people will not manifest. What we are looking for is the sovereign will of the people, that we will give power to people to rule. If it is distorted, what will happen at the end of the day? We will be the people who will suffer for it. We are looking at leadership. We are looking at people who will be able to translate our dreams into reality. We are looking at leadership that they will be accountable to us. Let them tell us that we've given you your vote. This is what you have done for us. We want more. We think you are not doing enough. Because I have always said, look, a leadership that always opens itself to accountability, you get to know what is the expectation of the people. You may have your dreams. You may have all the others that this is what we think that, but the people may not think that that is what they want.
I say so because, if any presiding officer, dares not sign any pink sheet, he might be lynched.
Yes.
Any individual who refuses to sign the pink sheet and does not leave a note to say, I'm not signing it because I'm not happy with this or I'm not happy, but just leaves it blank. That guy
may not live to see, the next day. And that's because the stakes are too high this time.
Yeah, that's why I've always believed that it is, for me, I think the EC, I don't know what they are doing. Maybe they are having their own consultation within camera. But I believe that I want to see more consultation because some of the issues that were raised, some have been left halfway addressed, have not been addressed. What would be the innovative ways of doing this? That, look, if EC, we are going to have a new constitutional instrument, what would be the sanctions? Because one of the things is that any law creating must create the offense and must create the sanction, right? Mm-hmm. But when maybe the Constitution says that if he doesn't sign, he doesn't sign, the Constitution has not created any offense, or there's no law that has created that if you don't sign, this is the kind of punishment. And I believe that is the reason why maybe the Supreme Court could not go ahead and say, going forward, if you don't do it, this will be it. So I believe the next constitutional instrument that the EC will be using, maybe for the election and others, we need to have consultation with the stakeholders, with a lot of people, so that everybody understands. Because for me, education is the key in this matter. Let people understand that, look, the election is not about a person, it's about Ghana. How do we move forward? Definitely, one party will be at the helm of affairs. The two parties cannot be at the helm of affairs at the same time. So if you want your party to be at the helm of affairs, you need to do A, B, C, D, and do it well. I believe, so that's why I see EC to be, maybe they are doing a lot. The public doesn't seem to know what they are doing. And that is what fuels the agitation, the anxiety. Because I was there today, I was thinking, we have only 10 months. We are left with 10 months to go for election. Within the 10 months, what's the timetable? What are we doing? When is the voters' registration? Because we need to train our officers, trainers of trainers. Trainers will go to the regions, go to the constituencies to train. What is the involvement of NCCE? What are they doing? Is it being left to the parties alone? Or EC is also doing a component? Because if it doesn't gel, one party may be doing something different, another party doing something different, and say, this is the way we are going. And, there will not be any harmony. That's why I think that EC should take the fault, take charge.
You see, at the moment, at every given time, we're divided into two, which, EC says we are going with our register. The NPP raised some issues with regards to register, saying that there were 70,000 Togolese on it. Indeed, they said it was just 10% of combing through the thing, but 10% they came up with, 70,000. So automatically you deduce that then there are 7 million people on the register who are not supposed to be on. Anyway, they just left here 7,000. But the EC is saying that, listen, unfortunately, it's not good enough. I have to still go with this register that I have. Half the country say yes, I'm happy with the EC. They are autonomous when they speak. The other half is saying no, the EC is NDC. As our usual thinking. How do we go forward with this register?
Well, I believe that looking at it, we have only 10 months to go, and if the concerns of the NPP and they bring the evidence, let everybody would want to know.
They brought pictures and staple
the pictures and the things that they brought. Now, I can tell you that some of the pictures and other things, it doesn't get to that 76,000 they're talking about. Even some of the pictures that, if you take the register, which I know some people are doing to look at it, it does not match. Now, that is why they need to come out. You see, when sometimes you embellish it with political orientation, that is it. You may have it that this is what we have. This is what we have from the other regions, because they said we have That is 1/10 of it. Since then, nothing has come up. Bring the whole evidence, because the basics of it is that it's a crucial voters register, which is authentic, which is credible, everybody's looking for. That is the basis. If we get that wrong, it becomes difficult. That's why other parties are saying that, look, let's look at it. There's an opportunity for us within the law so that we can clean it. This national voters, national health ID card that they always talk about. For me, the simple issue is, can you come and tell Ghanaians the number of people who on the register use NHIA to register? Now, if you can give us that number, and EC has to give them the opportunity that, because the law at the time they registered, it was a valid law, which says that, and it's not only Ghana that uses different ID cards, and even in Liberia, traditional authorities have to validate or witness. It is done in Malawi, Uganda, because most of the nations did not have a single national ID card, unlike the Latin America and the Europe, where they have one national ID card.
So you were saying when the Supreme Court proclaims that, listen, you can't use this because of how you are able to obtain it, you can't then bring it back to say I'm a Ghanaian, because it's multilateral, anyone can get it. Once this easy is wrong, you're saying that once you've been written, then that's it?
No. Yes, our laws does not take retrospective effect. So now that they have used that to register, their name is on the register.
So henceforth, no.
Henceforth, no. Are you getting it? They came with the same issue and said that before the biometric, people who had the previous EC ID card used that the same basis to register for the 2012. And they were asking that should also be expunged. And the court was saying that no. Because if you had registered in 2008 and you had that card, or previously from 92, it shows that you are a citizen, so you can register in the 2012. But with the National Health Insurance card, it says no, it cannot be used again, because you need to have some particulars on the ID card. Your name, your age, but the National Health, it doesn't show where you come from. It doesn't give you some particulars on the National Health Insurance.
Collectively, without assuming Ghana was a one-party state, Achampon managed to, do his one-party state, won't we be worried that, okay, hold on, there are some people who may be on the form who may not be Ghanaians because they came on there, and therefore, well, if that's the case, why don't we start afresh so that we can weed out those who are not Ghanaians?
Oh, Nana, if we even get granted that we get a new register, what is the guarantee that the foreigners will not be on it? What's the guarantee we will not have the minors? And still there will be that window of opportunity where the exhibition would go on. You are given the provisional list. You are supposed to be given the register. Those are things that were identified, and I believe that all the stakeholders are saying, give us the electoral register 30 days before the election, so that we can go in. The 2012 and others, that some had it only about 2 weeks, a week to election, and you cannot go through all the register and find out. That was one of the challenges. So that's
like 14 million names. They give you all the 14 million names?
Yeah, when they print, even when they start registration, there's always a printout. The daily registration is given to all parties. Then the provisional register is given to all the parties to look at. Before they clean the register, then the actual register is given to the parties. So it's a process. So if you had been consistently looking at the register, you'll be able to know the actual or estimate and say that, look, this should be the number that we think should be on the register. You can cross-check It's just like the ballot. When they bring you a polling station, it has a name and others. You can know the constituency it's coming from, the region that it is coming from. One of the things that compounded our problems was the serial numbers. The serial numbers that was used, which had no legal basis, right? It was more of administrative. And I believe the Supreme Court also spoke and said that, look, it is one thing that we need to look at. It is either it is given a legal basis, just like the polling station numbers, so that you know that these serial numbers are going to this particular region, so that we don't create that problem that we had with the serial numbers again. Now, so for me, it is how Electoral Commission would come.
Should Ghana sit down as a state and as a sovereign state find a way of identifying who is a Ghanaian? Because I mean, in 2015, if I'm sitting there with a very fine lawyer, and between both of us, we can't tell who is a Ghanaian and who is 18 or not. I mean, it's almost an indictment on our sovereignty.
Yes, but it's never too late. You know, one of the reasons is the criteria.
We are not even starting.
No, the criteria for citizenship, it's a very difficult and laborious process, because our laws, even when it comes to the Constitution, who is a citizen? If my grandmother, one of my grandparents, is a Ghanaian, I'm qualified to be a Ghanaian. So, yeah, I'm qualified to be a Ghanaian. Now, this citizenship...
But then how do we prove?
How do we prove?
That your grandmother was Ghanaian.
Yes, that is the problem. That's a problem, because if somebody mentions my grandmother comes from somewhere in the Volta region, until people get to prove. And you know, the names, because the names look similar, and others, we know every tribe where, you know, some names can be mentioned, you know, this person is coming from this area. But how do we go to prove and see that this person is really a citizen? And I think one of the things that we were looking at to solve this problem was the national identification that we were looking at. And the court has consistently said that, look, it is something we need to do. We don't take our birth and death registry seriously. If you go to birth and death registry, it is something that we treat casually, abysmally. These are things that we need to start to do, because it is something that will live with us forever. If we don't do anything and be proactive about it, it will live with us. Because I believe that if we get the birth and death registry right, the National Identification Authority right, then we will get a single ID card that you can use for everything. When you start school, you know.
Let me take a break here and we'll continue this discussion. You know, I said this is going to take probably about 16 parts. It would, because as the year goes on, I think the onus is on all of us, particularly those in the media, to really sensitize each other as to which way forward, because there must be a peaceful way forward. Definitely. However difficult, we have to find it. So stay tuned, we're coming straight back. Thank you very much for staying, and I'm talking to my brother Kofiga Adawudu, Kojoga Adawudu. I beg your pardon, Kofi's a son. Kofi's the son. He's Kojoga Adawudu, and we are looking at GBA members, you know, availing themselves to help the EC, and also probably other professional bodies, you know, architects, accountants, probably doctors, nurses. Those who are off duty on the day should always, you know, plug themselves somewhere to, you know, people who can write legibly, read well, and make sure that, you know, this country is in one piece afterwards. Because we may be, you know, they say, oh, Ghana is peaceful, you know, we need to be careful about that, because before Sierra Leone's upheaval, before Liberia's upheaval, they were also very, very peaceful. Indeed, I think Sierra Leone surprised everybody, because I hear they were so lame, it was unbelievable. In the end, they were chopping long sleeves and short sleeves. So going forward, however difficult, however we disagree, whether we go with the new register or old register, We need to be able to sail through and get one piece. And I think it's all going to be in communication and what you keep saying, education. And so that's what we're trying to find here. But I think we are making things too difficult for ourselves. Like you said, presiding officer, we don't even know what happens, whether he signs or not. Now we have to make a decision whether somebody uses the biometric business or doesn't use it. Whether the ballot is stuffed or whether the ballot is have been overvoted. We are going forward with too much haze, and it would have been fine if we can narrow it down. But hey, here we are. Victor, how do we go forward?
Yes, going forward, I think that it's for me, I see it's pretty simple.
Hey.
No. The reason is this. I'm an NDC man. If I meet my brother Gabi Ochidako, I know what Gabi's orientation is.
Yeah.
I know what he will agree to, what he will disagree. He knows my orientation. So there's a middle line that we can agree. If our leaders, the two parties, they know each other very well. They know that, look, there's nothing we can do to backstab each other. They know the ones that can backstab each other. So even if we are polarized in society, we know that, look, this will be the middle ground. These people will not accept this. This party will not accept this from this. I believe that if we get to know that very well, we will live in peace and harmony. We will do things in common, although we disagree with each other. The issue is that when we try to pretend, play the ostrich to each other, we believe that it is fine. We agree. You go, you do a different thing and backstab your other friend. With the vindictiveness, with the others that they come, that is when they will try to undo that, look, I'll have to show him lessons that, look, you cannot treat me or take me for granted, because if I have a pact, a tacit agreement with you, you go and... So for me, if the parties, the top or the leadership, the top echelon, they know each other too well. And if we agree, we do this in unison, I believe it will cascade down to our followers. Because if our followers know that, look, these people, they are friends, they can agree to this. When it comes to this issue, it's a no-go area. They will not agree. And our followers see it that way. I believe that at the end of the day, it's the same cause we are looking at.
Victor, but when it comes to elections, and I come to the polling station and I thumb print, the machine says no. The guy looks at me, looks at my picture and think, no. And, 2 years ago, I was very, very slim. So my cheeks were quite, and I said, no. It couldn't be him. Get out of the queue. Next person comes, he thumb prints. It doesn't work. But I said, oh, you come in. It's definitely you. So you come in and vote. You then say, oh, no, hold on. Nana Sakwa is an NDC guy. You didn't let him vote. The guy coming is an MPP guy, and now you're letting him vote. So all hell breaks. So these are some of the things that whether you and Gabi are free or whether the president and Nadu are free, as soon as it gets to that ground level, it gets out of control. And those are the things we are going into the elections with, which I'm concerned about.
No, it still comes to this issue where I believe that there's nobody who can say he's impartial. He has an orientation, but you can be very objective. The scenario you give now is that the person is not being objective. He's not being fair to the parties. He has his own leanings that he can be partial.
Well, maybe he looks a bit different in the picture. Maybe it looks too lean. It could be him. It looks like him, not quite sure.
Yes. So in doing that, I think that they work as a team. You consult each other. That's why I'm saying that, look, if the parties, all of them, they look at it and they say, oh, this is the person. We think that this is not the person. If there's a consensus by the team over there, I don't think we will have such a problem. It is when all of them take vested interest. This is, look, we will not agree. Some you'll be doing this process, look, if you don't get me involved, it will not work. So there's a way. Traditionally, you consult people before you even come out, officially to say this is the position. But when you don't get the people involved, they are not consulted. Because you go down to the constituency.
Aren't sentiments too high at the polling station where common sense normally doesn't work?
Yeah, when it comes to politics, and the tension, it's so high, sometimes you need people to break that tension, the ice. Because people come in with, preconceived ideas.
And it's 29,000.
Yes, preconceived ideas. No, but there are places you go election, it goes on peacefully.
And there are places where it doesn't. Now,
Yeah,
those are the
places where it doesn't.
And funny enough, the messy places seem to, get the news.
Bad news sells.
Exactly.
Bad news sells.
And it's the bad news that we don't want this time, because the stakes going in now, it's just too much. Because everybody say, hey, elections are now one of the polling stations. Next now one of the polling stations. Next now one of the polling stations.
No.
So, the polling station should be clean.
No, you see, I think the one other thing that I think that we should also be doing is, I think that I picked up from Jega when he came to lecture. He said one of the things that the Electoral Commission deliberately did was that where there was evidence, he manifested that there was one person or a party that was cheating, or a candidate cheated to get, and they knew that information, they deliberately gave it to the opponent to go to court, and the court will rule for those persons. And in one incident, one person had been in the Senate for about 3 years, and the court even ordered that he should pay all the money that he enjoyed whilst he was there. Now, if our law says that if there's a trace of malpractices, especially bribery, done by a candidate or his agent, and this is known to the people, even you don't need the 21 days to come after the election before you come to court. You can come immediately just after the election. They will go into that matter. These are things that we need to encourage people, that when there is more practices going on, they should be able.
Because it's a moneycracy. Yes. I mean, there's jollof rice with pictures on it. There's this,
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I have always said that, look, if there is election, somebody thinks he has so much, he's bringing it. Take it. Take it, because he thinks that you can buy your conscience. It's a matter to show him that, yes, I have a conscience, you can buy it. And show him that this is the right thing to do. At the end of the day, when you take, because for me, if he buys the position, it's like a contract I've come into you with you. So there's no need for me coming back to give you the kind of development or provide the kind of leadership.
You've taken it away.
Yes, because you've taken it away. You bought it. I bought it from you. That's how I see it. So sometimes I ask my people, as I'm like, if you want me to come and serve you as a leader, how do you expect that I should come and give you money, pay for everybody before you give me to serve you? It's an issue that I believe as we grow into it. Because now, it looks as if it's the same thing, and people are looking at who are the people who can really serve us and get what we want. Because they see that the thin line going is that who is the highest bidder? And it is fizzling out. It will fizzle out. Sure? I'm telling you. Because I know during the election, some of the primaries, monies that were thrown, people were disappointed. At the end of the day, people went, they pledged, they took their money. But at the end of the day, they lost. They couldn't believe it. So for me, it's a time that we need to, as I said, education. Let's educate our followers. Let's educate our devotees and say that, look, at the end of the day, come 2016, it is only one party that is going to win.
How much?
Ghana must remain the same. Ghana, we don't have anywhere to go, because when we start to foment the troubles, I always say that, look, if we start the troubles today, war, we may not see the end of it. It will filter down to our children, it will filter down to all the generation. Is that what we want for ourselves?
See, how much of this would be stemmed by having credible people at the post? I mean, how much of this can we stop? Because I believe that, you know, and you even said it, that we're going in with things which are just not unclear. How much of this can be stemmed by using credible people at the grassroots?
No, you know, Anna, you are the traditional leader. You know how we revered some of our traditional leaders, we revere some of our opinion leaders, people we know that they are people who occupy a position of trust and responsibility, even though they may not have the money. They command some respect, and I believe that every person, a professional opinion leaders, when they get into, you know, there are people who, when they speak, everybody stops. You know, those are the kind of caliber that we need to encourage, that they should get involved. When they get involved, you know, there are communities, in every community, I can say at least there's one or two people, when they speak, everything comes to a standstill. Such are people that we should start getting. EC has, you know, 8 districts in everywhere. They know such people that they can recommend, that we get to them and say, look, can you help us? This is the kind of thing we want to do. And I believe that we will see transformation in our electoral processes. You know, because we can vouch for them and say, look, even he's this, I believe that he will not sacrifice that his integrity. When the professionals also come in, you know, it is the only issue is that within every profession we have, my word may be too strong, the miscreants. You know, when I say miscreants, I use it advisedly, because they would want to, you know, foment trouble, because where there is chaos, they strive. So they would want to foment such a trouble. But I believe a large portion of such people will make an impact on our election. And those are the people we need to look at. Let me also maybe caution some of the professional, the associations and others that may want to help. Genuinely, some would also think that, look, it's an opportunity, let's go in and get it. Then we vote against one party or speak against the other party. I think it is time that we display the sense of nationalism to make sure that, look, our election, Ghana regains that stature as a democratic country, that all the nations were looking at us. I think the other countries that we have nurtured have come and they are overtaking us, and we need to up our game. And I think it's a huge challenge for the Electoral Commissioner and her team, that they have to be very innovative, seek assistance from the people, because if you don't seek assistance, nobody knows your problem. Seek the assistance, let's see how we can make it. And I believe 2017, Ghana will be the winner.
Well, this is only part 1. This conversation is going to go on and on and on and on all throughout the year. Indeed, one of the days we are just going to theme it, you know, like electoral education or whatever. We're going to theme one of the days, and we'll get such like-minded people, and we'll talk and talk and talk until we find, however it is possible, that Ghana becomes the winner. Kojoga, thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Tomorrow we'll be back to do this all over again. Thank you very much for watching.